Ladies and gentlemen, the engine update is finally here. The update we have all been waiting for. Better FPS, new textures, dynamic lighting, just overall better game in general. I cannot wait to get into this to show you this update. Here we go. Failed to create dump file. Oh, you gotta be kidding. All right, you know what? We're back. Maybe that was just a fluke. Maybe it was just a fluke. I mean, it was my first time trying to start the game, so it just had to, go through its little reset thing. So now that we've started the game, here we go. Hey, wait a minute, I just broke 25,000 subscribers! Thanks, guys! Alright, I guess I won't delete my channel after all. There's hope. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this is ScrapMan back with a bonus episode of a Scrap Mechanic because a major update just happened to the game. It's the engine update that we've all been waiting for. And now don't worry, at the beginning there, I actually knew that was going to happen and I thought I'd make a little bit of a joke out of it. But I am going to give you the rundown of what is new in this engine, the good and the bad, because there's some bad news that comes with it, there's some good news that comes with it, and I'm going to go through all the details that I've discovered in the little time I've played with it so far. First off, you might notice that this looks like the Western Ghost Town I've been working on, but this is not the Western Ghost Town because I am unable to load any maps. As soon as I click the load game button, I get the error that you saw. So I actually spawned all this stuff into a new map, so fortunately the good news, I can still play the game, but I have to create a new map every single time I want to play and respawn stuff in. So that's why you're not seeing cactuses or cacti, and you're not seeing the cemetery because that was built into the world and not on a lift, unfortunately. So let's get into the update and I'll show you what's going on here. So first up, I'll bring up my HUD here and check it out. All of these icons look so much more vibrant and so much more like they're popping out. Like, I really like the new designs of the icons. Everything just looks really, really cool. So that's some good news. Some bad news is, although we've gotten a new glass block that is clear, which is really what everyone's been begging for since they came out with it, for me at least, I don't know if this is for everyone, but the glass texture is weird now, and it's like a white, palish color, and I cannot paint it. And this is interesting though, because in the test branch that was out earlier today, I could. Everything looked really, really good. Actually, you can see I can kind of paint it, but it doesn't really look that good at all. It's like really splotchy and white for some reason. Okay, let's get on to some more good news. Other textures. Take a look at the saloon. Look at the wood texture on this now. It's actually detailed. It's got some wear and tear to it, which I think makes the saloon look so much better. And we're gonna walk in here, and you may notice I've made some changes. We can see that we have dynamic lighting now. This is something that I think is really cool in the game. It's a really great addition to the game. Now, I made all these lights yellow, and the cool thing is you can actually paint these lights whatever color you want. Check this out. Well, actually, let's just do one where it's not being flooded by other lights. So you can see that you can actually color it, color it any color that you want, and it's just gonna light up whatever color you color it. Even let's go for with pink. See what pink looks like on this one. There we go. So you can create like some disco rooms or whatever. You can really do anything you want. Imagine putting some lights on bearings and stuff and creating moving lights. Let's get these back to the way they were. So the reason I chose yellow for these is because I wanted to like emulate kind of like a candle, and we'll get that back to brown. So that's kind of the best color I thought for a candle. So I added some more lights in here just to add some atmosphere. Whoop, forgot this one. So all of the textures are updated. So let's actually take a closer look at them individually rather than just on the building. Okay, so here are all the textures. So you can see the wood has a lot more detail. It's all has these different segments rather than just being solid lines, which looks way better. Even the metal has all these damage elements into them, which adds that kind of really scrap mechanic-y type feel. The concrete has a lot more texture. Even I think this has more texture to it. This one's a lot harder to tell, but this one definitely, the brick blocks have actually like a 3D element to them now, which is really great. This one you can see a little bit more wear and tear on it, and this one looks exactly the same. I don't think they changed this one at all. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is with the lighting, you actually have this floodlight thing now. Is that what it's called? It's called Spotlight, Warehouse Spotlight. So yeah, this one is also a dynamic light. It's kind of bright out here, so you can't really see it, but you can kind of see that it is glowing a little bit, and you can change the brightness, basically the range of the lights. So onto a little bit of bad news. I was trying to rebuild the train tracks, but I found that I could not actually weld it. So this welding glitch that prevents you from welding things even when there shouldn't be any collisions does not seem to be fixed, unfortunately. Yeah, well, that's not making it any better either. I actually managed to somehow weld this the wrong way. Yeah, so sometimes you can weld it the way that you don't want to weld it, but you cannot weld it the way that you do want to weld it. So I don't know how that happened, but we're just gonna go with it's not the way it should be. Okay, now on to a little bit of good news, something that I really like with this new update. I just spawned my my no-seat vehicle that we did the no-seat challenge in the multiplayer Monday. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the description, also up in the top right about now. So check out the wheels. These wheels look so much better. I love the design of these wheels. It makes everything look so much cooler and more intimidating, which is like that. I don't know. I just really like the way it looks. I think it looks a lot better. And like, oh, I painted these lights black, so I guess black lights probably don't really work very well. Let's see what we can do here. Also, I want you to notice on my paint tool, I'm going to use my mouse right about here. You see this little line right there? This is something that's new, because if you change the color, watch what happens to the line. You can see that that changes, and the actual paint canisters, I guess? The paint canisters also change. So that is a really cool, like, just a little aesthetic addition to the game. So let's see, if I go ahead and paint these white, I guess. There we go, that looks like some headlights there, doesn't it? So, check this out. You can paint the suspension as well, and not only can you paint the suspension, but you can also change the strength of the suspension. So actually what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna separate so that all three of these suspension are on their own thing. That way they're taking their own weight. So now you can see there's a big difference. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so now check this out. I'm going to go ahead and take this one, and let's go ahead and increase it up to full power. So now it shouldn't be able to resist, or it shouldn't be able to compress at all. So if I go backwards, you can see the back one compresses, but watch when I switch directions this time. That thing is just solid. So now you can set different suspensions to different strengths, which can give you more control over the handling of your vehicle. If you want your front and rear suspension to have slightly different strengths, then that is in your control now. All right, let me get out of this thing. Now, one thing, this isn't really good or bad news. It's just, I think it's weird. I don't know. This is just like, I don't know what decision, what was part of the decision-making process on this, but check it out. So we got your big suspension, you got your small suspension. So your big suspension, you got this yellow ring here, right? Well, check this out. You can paint it whatever color you want. If you want it to be blue, if you want it to be pink. Now, say if I wanted this one to be pink, guess what? Nope, it's this part that gets painted on the small suspension, but it's this part that gets painted on the big suspension. I don't know what the thought process was on that, but that's just the way it is, I guess. So I deal with it. And then another great and well-requested feature is being able to, whoop, that's not a paint tool, being able to paint bearings as well. So now you can also paint a bearing whatever color you want, so these yellow circular objects are no longer sticking out like a sore thumb on your creations, especially if you're using the small pipes that don't even take up the diameter of the bearings. Okay, now I am saving the best and worst news for last. We're all probably wondering about FPS. How does the new engine affect the FPS? And the answer is awesomely and horribly. And by that I mean on certain types of builds, the FPS is vastly improved. On other types of builds, not so much. For example, this is my wall climb warrior from one of my earlier videos where I made the wall climb warrior competition, in which I made like a big obstacle course that this vehicle was designed to go and travel on. It's a very, very multi-purpose vehicle with a lot of bearings. As you can see by the spider web, it's just got a lot of stuff going on in here. And if you look at the frame rate, I don't know if you can see it in the top left. If not, I'll be able to tell it to you. So if I go ahead and just activate everything on here, my frame rate is dropping. You can see just on the screen. I'm at about 10 frames right now, 11 frames. It's not very good in this. And this is exactly the amount of frames I was getting like 4 months ago in the game. So the frame rate has not improved on complex builds when it comes to moving parts and bearings and stuff that is under stress, like with the suspension. All of those things combined doesn't seem to be affected by the engine. However, when it comes to static builds, like buildings like these, all of, like, these three buildings are welded together. This is one huge building welded to the ground. And if you look at the cemetery episode that I uploaded just a couple days ago on Friday, I took a walk through some of these in the video, and you can see the frame rate just drop dramatically as soon as I step into these buildings. And it's just noticeably laggy, noticeably low frame rate. But now check this out. Look at how smooth this is. I'm at 42 frames right now, which is pretty good considering I have my shadows on high and all of that. Usually I have shadows off. And in the previous clip, when I walked into that thing, I went down to like 13 frames, and it was very noticeable. Even with these buildings all welded together in one piece, you have all these complex things in there. I'm still at 47 frames right now, even though all these buildings are welded together, one big piece. So that is something that has been greatly improved, is big static objects with a lot of surface area to them. There's really not much of an effect on the frame rate anymore, so that is something that I am really happy about. Now, hopefully sometime soon they'll be able to apply that amount of improvement to complex transforming vehicles and creations full of bearings and stuff. So what this update does mean is, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to take a little bit of a break from the ghost town until I can load my maps again, because otherwise the cemetery and the way that I had everything set up with the cactuses and the huge railroad, especially with this weld glitch going on over here, I'm not gonna be able to continue that until the game is working for me normally. And unfortunately, like, I can't even, once I exit out of here, I can't even get back into this world right now. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I'm gonna have to, every single time I want to make a video, it's gonna have to be on a new world, and that's gonna be a little bit annoying. I'm gonna have to really make sure that I save everything on a lift before I exit, otherwise I'm losing it. So I really hope that they have a fix for that soon. But other than that, oh, I forgot to fill in a window up there. But other than that, for the most part, I really like this update, and they're making a lot of progress, and it's really something that is showing that this game is going to be so much better than it has been, and it's already been great. So, let me know what you guys think. What do you think of the update? What's your favorite part of the update? Is it the textures? Is it the lights? Is it the frame rate improvements? Is the update working for you? If it's not, make sure that you let the developers know what's wrong so that they can actually fix it. This has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time.